Hello, it is Mac here, and today I'm going to talk about the two new inch-by-inch maps that were added to GTA Online yesterday, and sort of giving out my thoughts on these two new maps for inch-by-inch. Now, Rockstar, for the High Life event that will be going on, they sort of added in two new inch-by-inch adversary mode maps. Now, if you don't know what the inch-by-inch adversary mode was, I made a review on it, and one of my main problems with it, and I was kind of disappointed in the game mode, and one of my main problems with it was that the maps were just kind of bad. Like, we only got two maps, which even then, if the maps were amazing, the game mode's still gonna die because it's only two maps. But then it's also kind of like the maps were just kind of too small in my opinion, and it just didn't really make much sense for the actual like game mode that they were creating. Because like, okay, if you kill everybody on their team and you grab the bag, you could pretty much get it into their base without like, them spawning. Now, I am glad to say that these maps are actually pretty good. These two new maps, which one is Inch by Inch 3, which is at the is in Grapeseed, and it's in like this farm area. And then you also have another one at the airport. And I'm going to be talking about them in this video and sort of talking about it, and also talking about these, how I feel like Inch by Inch is a little bit better, at least for these maps. So first off with Inch by Inch 3. Now, Inch by Inch 3 is a very interesting kind of map, and I really do like this map overall. And it's very similar to the maps that we've seen before, it's just bigger. And now, this is an 8-player job, and I love that, because the Inch by Inch beforehand, the maps that were there before, they were only 6 players. So now it's very nice that we are getting 8 players, and I gotta commend Rockstar on actually adding in new maps that are 8 players. Sure, now it's kind of like, oh, well, if you have 8 players, then you only have 2 maps instead of, the 4 maps. Because, only 2 of them are 8 players. But still, I really, really do like how it is 8 players for these 2 new maps. Now, overall, this map is very big. Now, it's not huge necessarily, but it is much bigger than, Inch by Inch 1 or even Inch by Inch 2. Most Inch by Inch maps are usually about 3 lanes. This is a little bit more than that. I mean, it still has that 3-lane mentality, but there are a lot of ways you can go, and I really do like this map. And it's big enough to where if you die off spawn, you can get into the action again before the enemies really have much time to actually get in. Now, one problem with it is that if you have, inbound teams, then it kind of just comes into one team's going to demolish the other team, but because there is so much space, and it's a pretty good map. I really do like it. It does get a little repetitive, I will say, though. It did get a little repetitive, but I still think that it's just a pretty good designed map, and I really do like how it is a little bit bigger than Inch by Inch 1 and Inch by Inch 2. Now, as for Inch by Inch 4, which is at the airport, first off, this map is very, very linear. Like, if you go from Inch by Inch 3 to this, it's pretty linear. And while I don't know exactly how I feel about that, it's a pretty long map as well, which I really do like, because it means that, like I said, you have enough time to respawn and get back into the action. I will admit the spawns on this map are pretty awful. Like, I've just noticed that the spawns are pretty awful, and I don't like them. And I feel like that is a little bit because it's so linear. And because it's a little linear, it does seem a little bit harder to actually get the bag into their base than like Inch by Inch 3 or even Inch by Inch 1 or 2. It kind of makes for a very interesting way that the map is played. But I will admit, I do kind of like it. It's not that bad of a map. And I really do like, both of these two maps, even though they're not perfect, they're not, the greatest maps of all time, they are still better than Inch by Inch 1 and Inch by Inch 2 maps. I would rather play these maps rather than, Inch by Inch 1 and 2. Now, does this make Inch by Inch a great game mode? Not really. I mean, I still don't exactly like the game mode. Sure, these maps are good, and sure, they are better than, the first 2 that we got. They're still not that great. It's still not that great of a game mode overall. I still don't like how there's no, kill counter. I still think it's a little bit too easy to gain momentum. But then again, that could just be because of imbalanced teams. And I will admit, imbalanced teams is something that I deal with a lot on Inch by Inch. And, it seems like I didn't lose, and I feel like that sounds a little arrogant to say that, like, oh, I didn't lose. But I really didn't. and I didn't even lose a single round, so it's kind of like, well, the teams, while they weren't super balanced, they were a little bit more balanced than when I played it the first time, and I feel like the maps do kind of have something to say about that. I would rather play a lot of other adversary modes rather than this. I still think that it's a decent game mode. It's not a bad game mode by any stretch. It's not the worst game mode in the game. But it's still, there's a lot of problems with it that I feel need to be addressed, or the game mode will just die. They can add as many maps as they want, but until they get down a good foundation of what they want with this game mode, then it's just not that great. And, like I said, they can add more maps, and I'm sure they will. And hopefully the maps are, sort of up to the standard of, the maps that we just got. Because they're actually pretty good. Still, I would like to see something to make this game mode a little bit better. Because I just don't find it that fun. I just find it a little bit boring, actually. If you do want to go check out my review, my full review for Inch by Inch, then you can check that out. But anyways, like I said, I would recommend going out and checking out these new maps because they are pretty good. Just keep in mind that this doesn't make Inch by Inch a great game mode, in my opinion. It doesn't make it one of the best, but it is a step in the right direction, I guess. It does make it at least a little bit better. Although now it's kind of like, well, if I go back to Inch by Inch 1 or 2, then it's kind of like those maps are bad. And then, it's kind of like, well, sure, these maps are better than Inch by Inch 1 and 2, but now it's kind of, we're back at square one where it's like, oh, well, there's only 2 maps that are actually good on this game mode. You know what I mean? So I feel like it would, a lot of adversary modes, a lot of their maps are very, similar, so they're all pretty good, I would say like something like Hunt and Pack or Cross the Line. All of the maps I can play, all the maps I like, sure, some are a little bit better, but all the maps I think I actually enjoy. But then you get to Inch by Inch where it's like only 2 of the 4 maps I actually enjoy. And I feel like we're kind of at square one again, where it's like, oh, well, there's only 2 maps to play. This game mode may die pretty quickly. So let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. Do you like the new maps? Do you think that they're bad? Let me know your thoughts on them. Also, do you think that this makes Inch by Inch a better game mode? Or do you think that it's just kind of, still staying the same? Anyways, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. Hope you enjoy. Feedback is always appreciated. I'll see you guys in the next video.